A woman could never be president. Far too weak.
Women.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Brain Blaze. As always, I'm your host Simon. Welcome to the show. What we're talking about today is scroll, teleprompter, scroll, the most infamous things caught on hot mics. Oh my god, just in general, like if you're in a studio and there's microphones around, just always assume they're on. If you're mic'd up, just always assume someone is listening, because it does take you by surprise. I've done things where it's like there's been a sound guy or whatever and you're wearing like a lav mic or whatever, and you'll just be having a conversation with someone, and then the sound guy will be like, yeah, and you'll be like, oh yeah, of course, you were listening to everything, even when I'm like taking a piss. Always assume it's hot.
She's doing it.
Oh, uh-huh.
What the fuck is this?
I'll never forget the first time I heard it back in 2006. My friend turned his car on just in time for what sounded like an important public address from our nation's capital. I listened intently to the introduction, followed by the voice of our then president. And now a message from the President of the United States, George W. Bush. I have adopted sophisticated terrorist tactics, and I am a dangerous, dangerous man. With dangerous weapons. I want to drain the coal resources in America and foreign sources of crude oil. I'm a weapon of mass destruction. I am a brutal dictator. I'm evil. That wasn't surely not something caught on a hot mic by George W. Bush. Holy shit. All I could think was, why, W? Why would you let yourself be recorded saying these things? Of course, many of you that aren't Simon probably recognize this spliced dialogue from the song Rio Grande's Blood by Ministry. Do people really recognize this? I feel like Kevin and the whole writing bloody Brain Blaze crew, or is like Simon doesn't know anything about pop culture. I'd never heard of Ministry. I've never heard of Rio Grande Blood. Grande? I don't even know how it's pronounced. Does that... I feel like most people don't know who that is. Despite what the comments are like, oh yeah, how come Simon doesn't know this? But that's because that's only the people commenting. If we did a poll, I think most people would be like, no, I don't know what this is.
I don't know.
While nobody has been caught saying anything quite this absurd while unaware they were being recorded, there are certainly more than a few infamous moments that were caught when people didn't realize the tape was still rolling. We'll do it live. You're undoubtedly familiar with the infamous viral clip of Bill O'Reilly back in the early 90s losing his shit while pre-recording a segment for Inside Edition. I think I am aware of this. However, most videos only show about 30 seconds of him screaming at the crew. Oh, I've definitely seen this, yes. Which takes away some valuable context. They were recording the closing of the show, in which O'Reilly was supposed to introduce a song off Sting's new album to play them out, a phrase that he had never heard before and couldn't seem to wrap his head around. It's a little unclear since we can't actually see the teleprompter, but from what he began saying, it sounds like the prompter may have been malfunctioning, as O'Reilly repeatedly yelled that there weren't any words.
And that is it for us today. Okay, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not right on a teleprompter. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that.
He wouldn't be the first person to yell at a teleprompter, I'll tell you that much. Scroll, motherfucker, scroll! Like, whenever I have a little Bluetooth pedal underneath, which I'm pressing right now to advance the script, and when it doesn't work or it disconnects or something, I'm like, scroll! Why aren't you scrolling? They always get cut out, so you don't see my deep-seated inner rage.
Scroll! Why aren't you scrolling?
Whether the equipment was actually malfunctioning or if he just refused to believe that the words play us out had any actual meaning when placed in that order is anyone's guess. Why doesn't he believe play us out is a phrase? It's like, and play us out. Play us out. Isn't that a common phrase?
To play us out. What does that mean? To play us out.
Sting is going to do, it's a video, Sting video.
The fuck?
Once the Sting video was properly explained to him, O'Reilly unsuccessfully attempted 2 more takes. After flubbing the second time, he became enraged and declared, I can't do it, we'll do it live, we'll do it live, fuck it, do it live, I'll write it and we'll do it live, fucking thing sucks. This could have come out of my own mouth, which is why I never do anything live. That's already really entertaining to watch, but my favorite part is actually what happens after that, the part that most videos cut out before. As soon as he's finished screaming, the f***ing thing sucks, the director started counting him down from 5 again for another take. O'Reilly then smiled into the camera and delivered a perfect take, ad-libbing a new outro that didn't involve the apparently confusing phrase, play us out, because that's how professionals do it. Yeah, after a moment of rage, I'll be like, oh, for f***'s sake, how can you be so shit? There's no audio after that, but O'Reilly can be... You just transition, because you're like, put your face on and do it. Go to work.
We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
There's no audio after that, but O'Reilly can be seen throwing his pen across the room, ripping off his jacket, and presumably yelling "fuck" several more times. I fucking love it. I don't know anything about you, Bill O'Reilly. This is probably the only thing I know about you. And I worry about saying I like you, because then someone would be like, Simon, he's a fascist. Didn't you hear about all of his, like, huge scandals and all of this stuff? How can you like this? And I'm like, well, I like this tiny thing about him. I don't know. Maybe he's a legend. Maybe he's a total legend, and that's okay. I don't know. I don't know anything about Bill O'Reilly. Sorry, Americans. But despite all that fuss, they did not, in fact, do it live. They didn't? Oh, okay. Well, he didn't mean do it live. He just meant he was going to ad-lib it. Right? We begin bombing in 5 minutes. I made a casual reference to this quote in a script somewhere before, and I was surprised to discover that Simon didn't even know what I was talking about. You were surprised to discover that, Kevin? Have you not seen how tiny my brain is, Kevin? So this felt like the perfect opportunity to give the full story. While there was some variety in the roles he played, Ronald Reagan starred in a lot of comedy movies. You're likely aware that comedic actors like to goof around on set, and there's thousands of hours of hilarious outtake footage from various comedy sets throughout the decades. This light-hearted spirit never left Reagan even after he became president. He was known to joke around with sound crews while performing mic tests. This is amazing. It was so common for Reagan to say things that he shouldn't that the White House had a standing agreement with the press not to release anything but his prepared remarks. This came about in 1982 after Reagan referred to the government of the Polish People's Republic as a bunch of no-good, lousy bums. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's the sort of stupid shit that people say. Like, that you'd say is like a casual throwaway joke. But don't say it in front of the press. The comments obviously didn't go over well, thus the agreement being put into place. On August the 11th, 1984, Reagan was preparing to make his weekly radio address. He was going to open a discussion by discussing a piece of legislation he had signed, but in preparation for the radio address, as he began joking around with NPR's audio engineers. Riffing on the opening line of his intended speech, he stated,
"My fellow Americans, I'm pleased to tell you today that I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes."
It's funny. It's very funny. At the time he made these remarks, many media outlets were already receiving a live feed that they were recording in preparation for the broadcast. This statement didn't air live, but it only took 2 days for rumors of the joke to become so widespread that the audio wound up being leaked. By August the 14th, the president's remarks had become world news and were on the verge of creating an international incident. The Soviet Union referred to Reagan's joke as unprecedentedly hostile. Yes. I get why they would take it that way. Those humorless bastards. No, I mean, it is a joke, but it is also, don't make those jokes. Because you're not a movie star. You're the fucking president, aren't you? Claiming that the United States wasn't sincere at trying to improve relations between the countries. They undoubtedly were well aware it was just a joke, which was pretty clear by the laughter in the background audio while he was saying it, but by feigning outrage, it would give them a stronger position to negotiate. The news also broke just 87 days before the presidential election between Reagan and Walter Mondale, which meant that the Democrats would use this leaked audio to attack Reagan, and they did a pretty job of it. Instead of raising potential diplomatic concerns, they were seen as coming across as hypersensitive. No. Really? Of course, there's nothing the Democrats could have actually done with a hot mic joke to change the course of the election. Reagan won the election with 525 electoral votes compared to Mondale's 13. Isn't that extraordinary? Is that extraordinary? Was Reagan that popular? That seems mental. The only way he could have lost that election is if he actually did start bombing Russia. Oh my god. I know Reagan's a controversial figure, but it does sound pretty funny, doesn't it? The jinx. I've some pretty... Oh, is this the guy? Is this the guy? The true crime story. There's the whole thing about this where he admits to it in the bathroom. He's like, of course I killed them. Bro, and now he went to prison and he's in prison and now he's dead. I think he died.
You're ruining it. ruining.
I have some pretty strong feelings about this one, which I'm confident Simon is going to disagree with. But before we get to that, let's take a look at what actually happened. The Jinx was an HBO true crime documentary about real estate heir and then suspected murderer Robert Durst. Despite decades of refusing to cooperate with journalists, Durst actually reached out to director Andrew Dvoretsky and offered to be interviewed. Dvoretsky had directed a film, All Good Things, that was based on Durst's biography, and Durst was a fan of the movie. Over the course of several years, Durst sat down for over 20 hours of interviews. That's not really a lot of interviewing for something that took years to do, but Durst was only available when he felt like it and was pretty prone to cancelling. The series was a huge success for HBO, something that was only amplified when the day before the series finale aired, Durst was arrested on charges of first-degree murder. Over 1 million people watched the finale live, with God knows how many more watching it on demand on Netflix. The series finale ended with a famous hot mic scene where Durst goes to use the bathroom without removing the mic pack. What the f*** are you up to? For nearly 2 minutes, he muttered to himself while urinating and washing his hands, finally ending with,
What the hell did I do? Kill them all. Of course.
To most people watching, this was a smoking gun of a confession. He was alone, talking to himself, and confessed to killing all those people. For the record, those people were his wife in 1982, a journalist in 2000, and a neighbor in 2001. The first 2 murders he had remained a suspect in, and he had actually confessed to the third one, though he was acquitted on grounds of self-defense. The thing is, I watched the show when it came out, and I didn't think that it was a confession at all. If you listen to the audio that aired on HBO, it sounds like he's engaging in both parts of a dialogue. Oh my god, yeah, maybe. I didn't think about this. You know when you're just talking to yourself and you're just talking like just stupid shit, like for no reason? I just wander around, so I'll just be talking to myself. Like I just work in my office alone and I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, and it's like boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. And I'm sure like I say some daft shit. I don't even know what I say that's daft, but I know I do. And then people will be like, oh my god, he said he killed all those people. I'd be like, I don't know, I didn't even know what I was saying.
Just did you do it?
No, I didn't. Nope. Did not do it.
Maybe just have more experience talking to myself than the average person does, but I didn't walk away from the documentary feeling like he confessed to anything. I'm not saying I thought he was innocent, it just doesn't sound like a confession to me. Now you've rephrased it like this, Kevin, I am kind of with you. I never even thought about that, and obviously the documentary doesn't want to present it like that because it's much less salacious. But that's a goddamn good point. While I was initially in the minority, it came out during Durst's murder trial that the infamous hot mic confession was actually edited by the documentarians to make it more compelling. He still said the things he said, just not in that order. Here's the actual transcript of the bathroom break. There it is, you're caught. You're right, of course, but you can't imagine. They want to talk to him. That's good. I find them very frightening, and I do not want to talk to them. I don't know. The washer. Well, I don't know what you expected to get, but the rest of unintelligible, I don't know what's in the house. Oh, I want this. Killed them all, of course. I want to do something new. There's nothing new about that. What a disaster. He was right, I was wrong, and the burping. I'm having difficulty with the questions. What the hell did I do? It does sound like the sort of mumbo-jumbo nonsense that a person would mumble to themselves. I feel this is more mumbo-jumbo nonsense than I talk to myself about. But you know, old people, they get all old and they get all stupid and they're like, then he's an old-ass man. Only the transcript is available, so I can't say how it sounds, but it reads a lot less like a confession than the thing I didn't think was a confession in the first place. Then again, Durst was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison, so what the hell do I know? It's no surprise they're bitter. I know this is the wisdom that Simon already lives by, but if there is a microphone or a camera near you, just assume that it is always recording. This was something that then Senator Barack Obama had to learn the hard way. Obama was still a junior senator, only halfway through his first term when he began his run for the presidency. Maybe he just didn't have the experience yet to realize that nothing you say is off the record. The year was 2008, and Obama was still fighting in the primaries for Democratic nomination against Hillary Clinton. He had made several stops in small Pennsylvania towns before going to a fundraising event in California. These types of fundraising events are generally closed-door meetings where candidates can speak more candidly, at least in theory. In reality, the things that are said there have a nasty habit of getting out and causing controversy. In this instance, it was released by a reporter for the Huffington Post who had been in attendance and recorded Obama's entire speech, though she sat on it for a week before finally decided to publishing it. He was likely thinking about his town hall meetings across the Midwest when he made his infamous statement. Instead of asking questions, Obama had called on people multiple times who demanded he make a speech about patriotism. That is a weirdly aggressive decision that I don't think accomplishes anything, but it also happens when you host a legitimate town hall without curating the people who will ask questions. What is going on? This is really weird. What? They're just like, make a patriotic speech. Okay. Why ask a presidential candidate policy questions when you can they just jerk you off with the American flag instead? When speaking to the wealthier attendees at his fundraising event, Obama said, "Our challenge is to get people persuaded that we can make progress when there's not evidence of that in their daily lives." You go into some of these towns in Pennsylvania, and like a lot of small towns in the Midwest, the jobs have been gone now for 25 years and nothing's replaced them. And they fell through the Clinton administration and the Bush administration, and each successive administration has said that somehow these communities are going to regenerate, and they have not. So it's not surprising then that they get bitter. They cling to guns or religion or antipathy to people who aren't like them, or anti-immigrant sentiment or anti-trade sentiment as a way to explain their frustrations. It's, I don't even know how to comment on that, because it's not really a good thing to say, but there's a lot of accuracy there, in my humble opinion. On the one hand, he's not wrong, or Kevin's opinion either. When the majority of jobs disappear in a community and politicians tell them for 25 years that it will get better and it doesn't, it's pretty easy to start blaming illegal immigrants or outsourcing to Asia as the reason that the jobs haven't returned.
We found an immigrant from the future who knows geology, and he offered to work for next to nothing. This is Mr.
On the other hand, you've got to be out of your fucking mind as a politician to say the entire Midwest is full of a bunch of bitter people clinging to guns, religion, and hatred because their lives suck. Something like that calls for a bit more diplomacy. You can't say they're bitter, they're just disillusioned by the failure of previous administrations to make good on their promises to restore economic growth. That's the PR statement for bitter. And that's when you explain to them that this will all be totally different, even though there's absolutely nothing in their lives that would give them a reason to be believing you. While these remarks that Obama thought were off the record certainly wound up hurting him, as the Midwest was flooded with "I'm not bitter" bumper stickers, he still managed to win the Democratic nomination over Hillary Clinton. Sure, Obama had come off like an elitist prick in the eyes of many, but what else are they going to do? Vote for a woman? Please! A woman could never be president. Far too weak.
Women.
England's one-star Yelp review. The year was 2005, and England and France were waiting to find out which country would have the honor of hosting the 2012 Olympics. It's considered an honor, but it's actually a giant pain in the arse, and it seems like most of the hosting nations over the last 50 years have actually lost money on the deal. Is that true? I thought they actually did make money in the long term, but I don't know. What do I know? French President Jacques Chirac was at a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin and German Chancellor Gerhard Schröder. Probably appreciate my slightly offensive accents on those names. He was also completely unaware that he was within earshot of the press's microphones when he started shit-talking how much he hated England and their food. Fucking hell, Jack. Come on. The only thing they've ever done for European agriculture is mad cow disease. Oh, Jack, no. After Finland, it is the country with the worst food. you cannot trust people whose cuisine is so bad. I can't believe I've never heard of this. It's fucking amazing. He also went on to blame all of France's diplomatic issues with NATO on haggis. No, he fucking didn't. I get that black pudding is gross. I love black pudding, Kevin. Steady on. But French cuisine is full of snails and frogs' legs, so is it really any better? I don't know. Is it? Yes, I like French food. France is also the country that gave us soufflé, the dessert consisting of 1 egg, some sugar, and about a gallon of air that you had to wait 30 minutes for. You can keep your escargot, Chirac. I'll choose a full English over your snobby French food any day. They're both good. I like a full English, but I like French food.
What's the fleur? The florence.
And London won the 2012 Olympic bid, so get fucked. Get wrecked, Chirac! You douche. Maybe I'm being too hard on France's former president. When Putin asked him, "Hey Siri, did Jacques Chirac go to prison?" Oh, I got some web results. One of them went to prison, didn't they? Like one of those previous French presidents? Like for corruption or something. When Putin asked him what he thought about hamburgers, he said he preferred them to English food. This seemed to be on the topic of American food, even though it's a bit unclear whether hamburgers truly originated in America or Germany. More importantly, as interesting as it is that Chirac prefers McDonald's to the West Cornwall Pasty Company, is this seriously what leaders talk about with one another? It's just banter they can talk about. It's like off the record. I kind of like it that they're talking shit. Maybe if Reagan really had bombed Russia, then France could have avoided the embarrassment of this conversation ever happening and been picked up by the reporters' microphones. That's where we end today's video. I'm Jacques Chirac. Fucking English. Fucking roast beef. Oh yeah, how come Simon doesn't know this? But that's because that's only the people commenting. If we did a poll, I think most people would be like, no, I don't know what this is.
I don't know.